ANC structures are now pronouncing their preferred candidates to lead the party heading to the party's elective conference in December. The latest structure to do so has been the Youth League, which held a presser earlier today. Now, joining us to talk more on this, we have political analyst Dr. Dirk Kotze. Dirk, thank you so much for joining us. Now, does the Youth League pronouncing Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma as their preferred candidate come as a surprise?
I don't think so. We've heard many times now already that the Youth League at various events have pronounced on Dr. Dlamini-Zuma as their preferred candidate, not only at the national level but also in the different provinces. They have identified her as their preferred candidate. I think what we've seen over the past, during the past National Executive Committee, that there was actually some debate, which was quite surprising. And the choice was essentially between her on the one side and the current Premier of Mpumalanga, David Mabuza. But in the end, she appears to have had the majority of support.
Now, let's speak about the Youth League's reaction to the Gupta emails that they say are to discredit the ANC. Is this response an adequate response to the many allegations that have been leveled against the president of the Youth League in particular?
Well, I think we are at the beginning of receiving more information and therefore more clarity on what exactly is the situation. There has been quite a lot of speculation in the past about his relationship with the Gupta family. At the same time, we also know that there's a lot of speculation that at the 2015 National Conference of the Youth League, where he was elected together with the current leadership of the Youth League, that the Premier League was very much involved in the caucusing and the campaigning for that. So there's lots of links that bring all these different groups together. And therefore, by implication, many people will say it's almost an extension of the argument that the Gupta family will also have an hand in the developments within the Youth League.
Now, do you think the Youth League is still continuing in its mandate to advance the youth agenda, or have they deviated from their mandate?
Well, I guess since the days of Julius Malema as the president of the ANC Youth League, they've become so much involved in the national politics as well as the factionalism that developed within the ANC that to a large extent they are not so much focused on the issues and the interest of the youth in general. There is also the National Youth Development Agency, which is located in the office of the president, the national president of the country, in the union buildings, which is very closely aligned to the ANC Youth League. And that has been sort of clouded in controversy for a long time now already. And very recently they had to appoint a new head of the agency. But that's captured so much of the attention of the Youth League and the inside politics in order to determine who are going to be in these preferred positions, that they did not actually spend enough time on the issues of young persons, young people in South Africa, and became more involved in the factional power struggles within the ANC at the moment.
Now, Dirk, now that structures within the ANC have pronounced their preferred candidates for leadership of the party, are we likely to see more factional politics play out within the ruling party?
I think this is the beginning. Strictly speaking, the nomination should only take place around about September. So the latest or the last National Executive Committee meeting of the ANC said that they should only look at the names and discuss names in terms of the principles that should inform leadership for the future. But they've gone beyond that point now already. So I think given this as a catalyst, we will see it also most possibly the Women's League following very soon, and thereafter some of the provinces. Although I think one has to also emphasize the fact that with this election in December and with the nomination process, there's a new process that will be followed, and that is that nominations will not take place ultimately by the provinces, but it will come directly from the branches, which means that within provinces there can be more than one, potentially more than one nomination compared to in the past where there was only one nomination per position per province. So I think that is going to change the ball game to a large extent, and we will have to see how it's going to unfold from now on until September.
Now, the ANC's policy conference, going into that conference, what can we likely expect to come out of that conference?
Well, first of all, their first priority is obviously to look at the 9 discussion documents, then to formulate draft resolutions that will be forwarded to the national conference in December that deals with policy matters. But and in that respect, I think we are going to see a hotly contested or a hotly debated discussion, especially about economic policies. We have seen now this open debate about, on the one hand, the idea of white monopoly capital, radical economic transformation. On the other hand, variations on economic transformation in the form of an inclusive economy, of radical socio-economic transformation, plus then the problems of state capture. So I think these will be very important aspects that will be debated there. Also about the topic on organizational renewal, where a lot of new proposals are made about the internal organizational matters of the ANC, for example, a reduction in the number of NEC members, the fact that in future the election of NEC members and the top 6 should be in the form of an open campaign, and several other matters also. So I think these issues will emerge, but the overarching context of the policy conference is, first of all, that, and we don't know if it's going to materialize, that it will coincide with a national consultative conference that the stalwarts and veterans asked for. And then secondly, I think what we are also going to see is it will serve as a very good barometer to give us an indication of where the main contenders, the main candidates that we already know, especially Dr. Dlamini Zuma and the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, what type of support do they enjoy at this conference. So that will be very important as a precursor for the national conference in December.
Dirk, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to leave it there for now. That was a political analyst, Dr. Dirk Kotze, joining us via Skype.